Hey folks, good evening. This is Babbat here for TrueCharts.com, giving you a weekend update for markets July 27th through July 31st. This is a mind-blowing market, okay? This is definitely such a massive bubble that the Fed has created. It is not going to end. We don't know when it will end. We actually think it will not end until the Fed says in 2022 that they're willing to draw in the liquidity. This is just going bonkers. I mean, Apple moving $170 billion market cap in a day. I mean, can you think of that number? 170 billion in a day. I mean, this is like unbelievable, unheard of numbers. Okay, it's just, and there's no way you cannot make money in this market. We've been making money, and we are going to keep making money, and we are not going to stop because we are telling you, everybody who thinks there's a crash coming, I don't care. I'm just going to keep buying until the Fed speaks. That is the fat lady who needs to sing. So we are going to discuss some few stocks this week. And you, as you know, last weekend we had picked AMD. We bought it at 60 bucks and we made a killing on it. Okay, we made over 40% return on our money. Okay, it's just like mind blowing. AMD was one of our top picks, and then we stuck on to some of our other positions. Caterpillar, Deere, they pulled back a little bit, but you know what, in the end they were still doing well. So we're just going to spend some time today talk to you about the Nasdaq. We didn't think the Nasdaq was going to take off the way it did, but it's still moving higher because everybody is piling into those stocks. Apple, Amazon, Facebook, you name it. Even Google was down on the week, but it's just like Apple has become everybody's favorite, and their announcement of the split was, oh my god, that just blew away the stock up into the air, and we think now it's headed to 500. So folks, I don't know what to say, but this is just like unbelievable herd of market. I mean, this is like literally a bubble, which is what we have been saying ever since the Fed printed $2 trillion. We printed so much money that we have not printed that much money in 2 centuries. Okay, think about that. In 200 years, we printed what we printed in a month. There's, where do you think the money went into the markets? Anyway, let's get into it. We'll talk about our picks for this week. Our discussion is going to be around Nasdaq. We already talked about the bubble and why we are in it, and you should just keep buying. We talked about moving averages. We keep we keep harping on the same discussion, but I tell you what, I want to drill it into your brain that moving averages work. All right, there is no going away from that fact. I don't care what anybody says, simple moving averages work, and I trade off of that, and it works. And then I'll talk about a brief screener idea, and then we'll discuss, we've been telling you casino stocks are downers, don't buy them. I think they're going to get impacted. The COVID situation is getting bad, don't do it. And then basically the technology stocks are looking really well. We really like Qualcomm, we still like AMD, we think it's going to 100, and Qualcomm we think could go to all the way to 150. It gapped up. We'll talk briefly about gap ups, and then basically I strongly recommend that you watch the whole video so you can really get some learning, and it's good for you, and then why options are important. And then we'll discuss that, and we'll go through the cat DE, Apple, Facebook, those standard stocks. So let's get into it. So let's quickly go into stock charts. So you can see here we've changed the menu a little bit. So just a brief update, we'll be changing the site UI quite a bit. You'll be seeing some new stuff coming. So it's in the process. It's looking really, really good. I don't want to give it to you right now, but as soon as it comes in, we'll start showing that to everybody. And we put the heat map here. I strongly recommend you look at the heat map because it's really, really amazing heat map that we have done. We really put a lot of effort into it. It's really informative. It tells you what sectors are moving just by looking at the heat map. Okay, so you can go into conglomerates. This is basically based on the S&P 500 stocks, so you can see the big stocks, which ones are moving, which ones are not moving, and then you can see the whole sector, right? It's just absolutely really well written, so I highly recommend that you use it. Okay, anyway, let's go to stock charts. We'll go to the stock view. I like to use the stock view majority of the time because I get all this other information on the side, right? So um, let's see here, and then I'll briefly give you the stocks that I watch every day, right? I mean, it's just on my list of tools. Okay, it's always there. I always see that list, and then I pick from that. And also, I recommend that you check out my Twitter at True Charts, and then there I recommend a lot of things. So anyway, let's talk about briefly about the market. So DIA. We briefly said that we think the Dow was going to outperform, but it's still sort of stuck in this range. Again, we sent this confluence and convergence of these averages is saying either it's going to break down or break out. Again, but think about it. Apple is a big component of this. It may not be the major weighting, but it is a big component. I think that's why the market went up on Friday. So you see $1 or so, it was about 150 points. And let's look at SPY. You'll see here on SPY, oh boy, there's a problem. There's a bug here. I need to talk to my developer. You can see it was up 2.5 points. Even though here it shows it, I'm not sure why we need to fix that, why it doesn't show it there correctly. The chart looks correct. So anyway, we'll fix that, but you can see the SPY was, but let's look at the NASDAQ, right? That's the main thing. You got to look at the QQQs. And look at it, it was up over 4.66. Okay, so that's a huge move, primarily because Microsoft moved up. I think it moved up because they are thinking of buying TikTok. Apple was up huge, 40 bucks, 170 billion market cap in a day. I mean, it's just like everybody in the world is buying Apple. The sovereign funds are buying, central banks are buying, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is buying Apple. It's just everybody's into Apple. I no clue why. I don't use Apple phones, but hey, I can't say anything about it. So they're doing well. We think their fourth quarter will be still better if they deliver on the 5G phone, which we think they are going to. So anyway, so I think keep an eye out on that. We think the stock's definitely after this is going to double again. So hate to say it, I think they'll be a $2.5 trillion company very soon. So anyway, let's look at Qualcomm. We like Qualcomm here, even though it pulled back, but look at this gap up. And we've told you several times, why volume is important. And look at the stock, right? It never, it briefly broke the 30-day here, but look at where it bounced off of 50-day. And then bang, the earnings come out and the stock shoots up like a rocket. Okay, we liked Qualcomm, we mentioned it. AMD briefly again, we'll show again. We had picked it at 56 if you recall, and look at it, we are saying there's a confluence of events. We think it's going to break out. Why? Because the weekly chart was really good. So I tell you guys, if you have any questions, I know I'm probably speaking really fast, but because I'm a technical guy, so I focused on technicals. So you can see here on the moving averages, it never broke its 50-week average here. Very strong support at 30-week. We said there was convergence here and would very likely break out, and guess what, it just moved like a rocket, bang bang bang, and is up. And we bought it at 56, then we bought some at 60, and then we even bought some at 65 the day this bar happened, and then it took off again to 77. So we made good money. Okay, we are not going to say we made good money on this. And then we want to talk about Caterpillar. So Caterpillar had a bad day, but we like it still. I mean, primarily because of the dividend, even though they are hurting. The only problem is the negative, MACD. We think it could pull back and consolidate. This is the type of stock you can make money on by writing calls, all the time. They have good cash flow. Their price to sales is very reasonable. They're dealing, they're a good company. Look at this, 1.58 for Caterpillar. Okay, let's look at Apple price to sales. Let's look at Apple stock. Okay, quickly. So we'll look at that and look at it. Gap up, huge volume. Let's just look at it here. Its price to sales ratio is only 7. Okay, it might go all the way to 10. That means this stock could go even higher. Okay, so if you are interested in buying Apple, be my guest. We think we may buy it later, but it's just mind blowing. I don't know how a company of that size can trade at such a huge valuation. But then in bubbles, valuations don't matter. So let's look at quickly the DE, Deere. As you can see, it pulled back a little bit. We think it's consolidating. Again, the averages have not sort of converged here. but you can see the buying is pretty big, right? In the chicken money flow, look at it, it's huge. All right. So that looks pretty decent. So we had picked Moderna. We don't. The only reason we sold it was we think their market cap was a little too extravagant, and we had sold it. We told you on that bar the next day. It was pulling back, but look at it. Okay, it's got good support at 50. It bounced here. It tested it. You can see it bounced on the 50-day right there, and moved up, and then now it's pulling back. If it breaks 50-day, I would sell it. You know, this it's a very volatile stock, so either takes off or breaks down. I think there are too many companies doing the vaccines. We think their vaccine is looking suspect, and I think that's why it's pulling back. So you can see here there's some negativity in the MACD, but still on the chicken money flow, we are seeing some buying. So watch the averages closely. Okay, let's give you a good example of another Arista Networks. Okay, so why I want to show you this stock is we had picked this. If you go follow us on Twitter, you'll see I'd picked this right around here, and I said go long, and it took off about 30 bucks from there. Okay, think about it again, convergence of the averages here, and then a breakout. Okay, this was a breakout. I picked it right here, right around 220, 225. Stocks at 260. Okay, again, this is a bubble, and look at it. The chicken money flow went up, MACD turned up, everything turned up. It was like a beautiful stock to buy. You could have made easily 40 bucks, okay, in this stock. And then I want to show you Okta, which is a very good example of a stock holding support at 30-day. Okay, so you can see here it started its first 30-day leg right here. This was its first 30-day, and it went up, went up, went up. 30-day again, went up, went up, went up. 30-day again, 30-day again, still up. Okay, just think of their price to sales. Okay, check this. It's 41 times price to sales. Okay, what does that mean? Means the market cap of the company is trading at 41x the revenue. Okay, so for every dollar you invest in the company, you're literally paying for $41 of revenue. It's just mind-boggling. Nobody ever gets that type of, but it is a bubble. So in a bubble, these things don't really matter. Everybody thinks that they're going to grow into it. Well, it's not that simple. But that's why I tell you to focus on stocks that are moving and buy them. Okay, and this is an just check the averages on our site. Nobody plots them like us. We have them by default. You can set them up in your settings by just setting it up just like I have, and then you can just keep these indicators turned on all time, and it'll save it for you by default. And then when you go back, you don't have to do it every time. You can see it right away and say, oh, this stock is at 50-day. Look at this crowd holding. It bounced off 50-day. Beautiful day. You could have just watched it, set an alert on your system, which we will be having here. You will have an alert right here that you can use, and it will show you. You can set an alert. Oh, I want to be told when the price hits like 99 or 100, or so you can check. Oh, is it at its 50-day support? Oh yeah, it is. Let me check, see if I can buy it. You buy it, bingo, you made 10% in a week. Okay, unbeatable market. So please use options, use averages. That's my recommendation. Stay with it and watch the MACD and volumes. Okay, volumes are very important. Now let's show you a quick screener test. So today I want to go over simple screener. So why is screening important? Obviously we talked about that briefly. Hey, you want to find stocks that meet your criteria. Okay, so we'll show you a simple screener. So gap ups are a huge way to find stocks that are going to move. Okay, you have to be careful about gap ups. If there are these no-name stocks that are in the market that nobody cares about and they've gapped up, you just ignore them. Okay, only focus on the big liquid name stocks that everybody's watching. If those have gap ups, which Apple did on Friday, you saw it, that's the stock you want to say, huge volume, huge gap up, I'm going to go buy it, and it should show up on our gap up report. So you go click on gap ups here and you say start scan. So it will automatically, it picks a percentage. So it says, did it move 2.5%? And guess what? Apple is at top of the list. Well, wow, that didn't show up in the top of the list. That's surprising. Okay, ZN, whatever this stock is, I don't even care. I would never even touch it. It's 45 cents. I don't have time to think about it. But look here, pins. That's our next favorite stock, by the way, guys. We are buying it stock, load, and barrel on Monday. I don't care. I am buying the stock. If you don't want to buy it, don't buy it. But I am buying the stock. Why? Gap up, huge volume, highest volume. We've talked about highest volume. Focus on highest volume. Okay. this stock is going to go to 50 or 60 bucks minimum. Okay, so if you make money off of this stock, come and subscribe to our site. Okay, please do, because that's, we don't get paid just because we give recommendations, but we want you to subscribe because we spend our time and energy to build a site that people can use and learn from. Okay, and that's my goal, to teach you how to make money. I see all these people who are out there hungry and making money and just working day to day. All they have to do is learn to invest a little bit of their money, and they can have a good retirement, at least a decent retirement. Just focus and learn. It doesn't take rocket science. It's not rocket science, okay? But people don't want to put in the effort. They'd rather go watch a game and spend money on a game. It's like, why does that make any sense? Did that pay you back? No. Oh, you had fun. Oh, so what? Oh, I bought a $70,000 truck. Well, what difference does that make? Did it pay you back? No, it was a headache. I don't buy cars. I'm sorry. I just lease cars. I never buy a car anymore. If I would have known about leasing when I got to this country, I would have never bought a car in my life. What a nightmare it is to own a car. Please don't own a car. It's pointless. Okay. Anyway, my opinion, but that's okay. You can take it any way you want. Okay, here's Apple. Look at Apple. Showed up on our list. Gap up, huge volume, over 2x its average volume. Okay, then you can go down the list. Look at Facebook, another gap up. This stock is going to 500 bucks. The moment they say we are going to put ads on WhatsApp, that's it. The stock is going to double. WhatsApp has 1 billion users. I gotta give it to the guy who developed WhatsApp. What a genius guy. Okay, absolutely genius. 60 guys put together, and the only reason Facebook bought it is because of their messaging, how they compress their messages. Okay, that was the technology. That was the key technology. How they keep their messages short and compressed. And Facebook went and bought them. I mean, that guy really made a killing. I have to give it to that guy. Even Facebook, of course. Here's another one, Deluxe. I mean, this is an okay stock. If you're interested in buying it, I think there must be some news on it. So this might be okay to buy because it's at its low side of the thing. So I think it looks okay. Let's look at. So anyway, so that's our pick. And then I want to talk about another stock. So gap ups is a good way to find stocks that have a huge demand. Okay, that means it gapped up. There was no in between. Typically, stocks will go try to close the gap, but big name stocks that are in a bullish market will typically not close it for a long time. Okay, so Apple is one of them, and Facebook is another one. The other stock I like, which I bought actually last week, was Match Group. So let me show you MTCH. I've been talking about this stock, and I briefly thought it would pull back to 80 when I saw this bar, but it didn't. And then the news came out that they changed their CEO, and that's what happened. And I think that was the news that drove it down. They didn't know who was going to be the CEO. But I really like the stock. Their price to sales is reasonably high, but overall they're making money. It's actually only 4 for a internet stock. They're doing pretty relatively well. But the only issue is the selling. Okay. I still like the stock because I think their weekly chart looks pretty decent. It looks like it wants to break out. So that's why I'm buying it, and I want to keep it because I like the options premium. Okay. So the premium is pretty decent on this stock, and that's why I want to keep it. You can see here the MACD is still positive. So, it's up to you guys, but I'm going to buy PINS, Pinterest. Okay. I don't care. I'm gonna buy it. Okay. So, and then let me. I'm gonna buy. I'm gonna buy some more AMD also, possibly on a pullback. Piton was one I had bought at 47. The stock's at 68. Tell me why I bought it. Look at this gap up, consolidation, high volume. That was the highest volume bar ever. Okay, folks, learn from this. That's why I tell you, watch the whole video, so you learn something. Okay, all right, let's go to some final thoughts for this week. Bank stocks, don't want to touch them. JP Morgan, COVID situation is bad, hasn't done anything. Look at it, it's breaking down. Not a good idea. Goldman Sachs, as much as I love that company, I wouldn't buy it until it got to 180 again. Look, broke a trend line, so it looks like it wants to break down. Heavy selling. Look at this, heavy selling. People are moving away from these stocks to tech stocks. Everybody is loading up on Nasdaq. We think Nasdaq could go to 15,000 right now, and S&P we don't know because of the other stocks. We think they're going to get impacted. And in closing, I just want to talk again about a little bit about we talked about Caterpillar, Deere options. So my recommendation is you get a book on options, and start reading it. Learn basically, at least at the high level, start reading about calls and puts. What are calls and what are puts? We might have a brief session next week to show you what are calls and puts, so that you can understand what calls is. Our retirement accounts are making money is because we use options as a hedging and income generating strategy. Two of our accounts are up over 12.5% in a span of 5 months, and basically another account, two accounts are up over 20%. So that tells us that options writing works. Of course, we pick the stocks at the right time, and then so we are looking at that into that. So I highly recommend doing that. Here's one stock we really like, Zillow. They are one of a kind in this real estate market. Look at it; it's trying to break out. Let's look at its weekly chart, and you will see that it broke out actually. This is going higher, a little extended, but some selling going on the weekly chart. But look at the buying here, right? It's sort of it's looking pretty decent. We own this stock in quite a chunk actually. I'm okay to hold it even for a long time because I think their business is going to grow rapidly. They are into buying and selling homes and flipping homes. That's going to be a big part of their business, apart from their ad business that they're doing on their site. Amazing company, run very well. I would buy it on any dip. Okay, if it pulls back here, I would buy it. So keep an eye on this stock. Okay. Anyway, so check out our site. We'll discuss briefly maybe next week a back test and show you some features of that and show you how that works. And leave us your feedback. Do subscribe. Let us know if you have any questions. Leave your comments. And again, good luck trading. Make money, man. This is a bull market of your lifetime. You're never going to see this again, ever. Okay, ever. This, just think of it as the third. Three times is a charm, basically. That's what it is. And this is the third bubble that the Fed has created, but it's the biggest ever. Just keep buying and don't think. Even if it dips, just buy. Unless the Fed comes and says, if the the Fed says, oh, I'm raising interest rates, I'm pulling money out of the market. This is ridiculous, and these asset values are too high. But they have not said that yet, and this is not going to happen till 2022 because we don't think the COVID situation is going to wait till end of 2021 possibly, until they have this vaccine in place, everybody is immunized, and it's working. Okay, so there's another year of this. All right, unbelievable valuations. Okay, it's coming down the pipeline. So anyway, all the best. Stay in, leave us your comments. You can always email me at truechartscom@gmail.com. If you have any questions, follow us on @truecharts. And just undergoing, I'll show you one other chart. Let's see, I was watching CHWY. Beautiful chart. We like this one too. Look at it, it's trying to break out. Again, consolidation, breakout. We think it's going higher. See, last time it broke out, it moved from 30 to 45 bucks. This time it's 50. We think it'll go to 60 somewhere here in this area. Look, everything is turning. MACD is turning. Buying is coming in, and buy the stock. Okay, this is a brainless exercise. It's become brainless exercise. It's like throwing a monkey can throw a dart and they'll make money. So anyway, all the best, and we'll see you next week again. Thanks.